So for cell theory, we're going to start off with some history. There were 5 scientists who were very important in developing our modern cell theory. First person was Mr. Hooke back in 1665. He looked at cork under a microscope. Cork comes from cork trees. It's a part of the bark of the tree. And he saw and described cells for the very first time. He called them cells because they reminded him of the tiny rooms that monks lived in. The cells that he was looking at in the cork were dead. What he saw was the cell wall that was left behind. On the front of your flap, this is a sketch from his notebooks of what he saw. He was just looking at the cell wall. All the cells that he saw were dead. But he's the first person who used the word cell. Our next person, a few years later, this is Van Leeuwenhoek. This Hooke was English, this one was Dutch, and then the other 3 gentlemen are all Germans. He developed a microscope. So this is his little microscope here. He observed pond water under a microscope, and he was the first person to see living cells. He saw living, that should be plural. He saw living organisms. Specifically, they were protists swimming about in the pond water under his microscope. Tomorrow, I've got some protist growing, and we're going to be looking at protists underneath a microscope and seeing what cell organelles we can identify in them. Now we're going to jump forward almost 200 years. Not much important happened in the field of cell biology until we get to 2 Germans, Schleiden and Schwann. 1838. Schleiden was a botanist, so he studied plants. He did some research, wrote a paper, got it published, and came to the conclusion that all plants are made of cells. The lab we did on Friday, you looked at cells of an onion and cells of an Alodia plant. In 1839, just a year later, Schwann, who studied animals, wrote a paper, got it published, and concluded that all animals are made of cells. Then in 1855, our last scientist, Mr. Virchow, he concluded that new cells must be produced from existing cells. Cells just don't go poof and come out of nowhere. There are existing cells that reproduce to make more cells. And this is it for our history lesson. Does everybody have this? So the work of these 5 gentlemen was combined into our modern cell theory. And our cell theory has 3 parts to it. Part number 1. Boy, that's hard to read, isn't it? All organisms are made of 1 or more cells. That's the first part. So Schleiden and Swan, we're looking at plant and animal cells. Further research, Dan Leeuwenhoek, cell protists. Further research supports that all organisms are made of 1 or more cells. Things like protists can be single cell or bacteria. Number 2, so all these little holes in here, this is Hoek's drawing, are cells of the cork. So statement 2, the cell is the basic unit of organization of our living organisms. The cell is the basic unit of organization of living organisms. And then number 3, here we have 1 cell becoming 2 cells. For our third portion, that all cells come from pre-existing cells. We'll talk about how cells reproduce, how they divide in January. We'll talk about that process in more detail then.